Hi guys, I'm Adam.
Jesus, man, keep it down.
I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy. The staff night out was very good.
Yeah, you can download the news as a podcast if you want to listen when you're out and about, which is probably better than watching us today, the day after the Christmas party, by searching for WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. But coming up today, huge news about the Royal Rumble.
So the ratings happened and it's a tie.
And Lana has received death threats. This is the news.
Right, so let's do a story, yeah? Right, so the first news story of the day comes to us from WWE. It comes from Shiggity Shagger Dave in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter. I'm sorry, guys, but these lights shining in my face are not doing me any good right now. We've seen a lot of WWE releases recently. We've seen the company seemingly abandon their policy of just hoarding talent and keeping hold of people and preventing them from going elsewhere and potentially being assets for other companies. We've seen Luke Harper walk out the door. We've seen Sin Cara, The Ascension, all gone in recent weeks. It looks like more could be on the horizon. Now, we reported something similar the other day, but Dave goes into a little bit more in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, which came out overnight, saying that the feeling within the company is that there are more on their way. However, he does acknowledge that in WWE things change rapidly. Vince McMahon, of course, is famous for just changing every single plan in the world at the click of a finger, at the drop of a hat. I almost said drop of a cat. That'd be very dangerous, even if they all land on their goddamn feet. But he's also pointed out, interestingly here, that aside from ACH, aka Jordan Miles, everyone who was released recently was aged 39 or over. So older talent who skill-wise aren't necessarily going to progress much, have probably hit their ceiling within the company, being cast adrift. So that's a pattern to look into, I think. Maybe if you're considering who they might consider cutting, obviously look to people they're not using, but also look at their age and so forth as well, because if they release someone who's like 27, 28, Kairi Sane's contract's up in February. If they let her go, she's, not even as great as she is, not even the finished article yet, so she could go somewhere and become even better. What do you reckon of this, Adam Wilborn? Do you think there are going to be more releases on the way?
I kind of hope so. Not in a I hope people lose their jobs kind of way, but in terms of just let people do what they want to do. Someone like Mike Kanellis, we've spoken about numerous times, he doesn't want to leave so he can go and be a superstar in AEW, which I'm sure he may well be, and his wife can do very well, as of course. Maria is brilliant as well. He just wants to wrestle. Yeah. Just let people do their jobs rather than just saying, now we're just going to keep you and use you for random bits on main event.
Yeah.
Even if they want to go and wrestle for the smallest indie promotions in front of tens of people, if that's what they love doing, just let them do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think a lot of people, when a WWE wrestler asks for the relief, thinks that Luke Harper's asking for his release because he thinks he should be world champion. It's nah, man. The guy just wants to enjoy his craft. He wants to do what he is trained to do and what he loves and what he's always done and so forth. So, I mean, I would personally like to see WWE just cut more guys loose purely from a human standpoint. I just want these people to be fulfilled. I want to see them doing good things as well, wherever that may be. And it's a shame that they can't do that in the world's biggest promotion.
And before you call us AEW Shield, I haven't received my paycheck this month, actually.
Tony.
Before you call us that, we're only saying this about WWE because they are WWE. In a year's time, if people want to leave AEW, I'll have the same view.
Exactly. If we're a year down the line and let's say Wardlow isn't wrestling on Dynamite regularly, or name anyone, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, whatever, then, that's the thing. But AEW's 11 episodes old.
Exactly. Right, let's move on and talk about the Royal Rumble. I've already started getting excited about it, even though we still have a pay-per-view this weekend, which myself and Lucas will be doing a live stream for.
I know WrestleMania month weekend, everything is great, but is January just the best month for wrestling? Because
Wrestle Kingdom kicks us off. New year. Oh my God, Wrestle Kingdom's here. And then the Royal Rumble's at the end of the month.
Wrestle Kingdom, Royal Rumble, the build to the Royal Rumble, the road to WrestleMania begins. It's class. It's class. Goddamn episode of Dynamite on the Jericho crew. I think that's February. But either way, it'll be fun. Sorry, I had a little bit of the bucket.
my honeymoon's in January. Impregnation vacation, baby! All right, let's talk about the Royal Rumble, though, because Brian Alvarez has said that this year's men's and women's Rumbles will feature 10 NXT stars, 10 Raw stars, and 10 SmackDown stars, which on the one hand is great. Fantastic to see NXT stars getting utilised in that Rumble, but on the other hand, is slightly disappointing. When the NXT stars, I still remember Adam Cole showing up and Adam Nicholas's tits popping all over the shop. it ruins those surprises. It also ruins when he returns.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's exciting and a shame, really. It's like a nuanced thing here, because like it would be great to see so many NXT people in there mixing it up with the main roster. NXT was integrated to great effect at Survivor Series, and I think it would be awesome to see an NXT wrestler win the Royal Rumble. However, if you're announcing that 10 spots go to both brands, unless you've got a big name returning from injury, it's very hard to engineer any surprises. It's very hard to have someone appearing out of the blue, like Rey Mysterio the other year. How awesome was that surprise? Like, it was a total boy popper. My tits are still attached to the ceiling after watching it in this very room.
Hopefully they'll just replace, a Raw superstar with a legend and just not tell us.
Yeah. I mean,
but who knows?
And obviously...
And it's better than just chucking in, no offence, but Zack Ryder or someone in there.
Like, it's cool. I think that, like, having 10 and 10 makes it more of a prestige event, right? If you throw in, like, the 10 top guys who aren't challenging for the title or holding the title, I think that's really cool. But at the same time, I like my Rumble surprises, brother. So I hope that maybe what Alvarez is reporting here, maybe there's some wiggle room for surprises and so forth.
Keith Lee's going to chuck someone into the other country, isn't he?
He is, man. You're going to bask. He's basking in his glory.
And also, I can't wait for... Anyway, let's move on.
Well, I'm surprised I can make that noise with my razor pro. It's like a junkie's carpet this morning. Buckfast. Let's kick things...
Not even once.
Why am I saying let's kick things off? This is the third story. I'm so sorry, the internet. Ratings. So, this week in the Wednesday Night Wars, NXT didn't win. AEW didn't win.
They both lost.
We had a goddamn tie. They both lost.
Amazing, this.
This is mental. This is really crazy. According to the Nielsen ratings this week, both shows had an average viewership of 778,000 viewers across the 2 hours. Really interesting stuff. Obviously, there's a little margin for error with Nielsen ratings, whatever percentage it is, but, like, that affects both shows. So, it's cool stuff. NXT was down from 845,000 the previous week, AEW down from 851, so a bigger slide for AEW. In the demo, the 18 to 49, it was 0.28 rating versus 0.24 in AEW's favour. However, that's not particularly good. That was AEW's worst performance in the key demographic outside that wacky pre-Thanksgiving episode that you can't read too much into because of what was going on that week and so forth. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens next week, though, because both promotions are going in with loaded cards. They're building these things up quite well. The NXT one is particularly awesome. It's like a mini takeover. Cole versus Balor. I could headline a takeover. Baszler versus Ripley, the way it's been built as well, probably could too. So, man, I think it's going to be a tough week for Dynamite next week, right?
They've got a championship match as well, obviously, of course, the Jericho versus Jungle Boy, but...
That's a non-title match.
Oh, it's non-title?
Yeah, as announced by Jericho on... So all these numpties who are complaining about why is Jungle Boy getting a title shot, stop complaining.
I need to pay more
But
attention.
you're not one of them, obviously. You're a good...
But I think, they're almost like 2 season finales for AEW and NXT next week, because they're both having Christmas off, as they deserve, WWE, when they did that bloody stupid live. Was it SmackDown live on Christmas Day?
And then New Year's Day. It was just whack.
No. But I'm fascinated to see who wins the ratings war next week, because they are literally starting for the first time from a
level pegging. Yeah, I love ratings, man. Like, I love talking about them every single week. I think it's fun to break down. I know it's not exactly a lot of people's thing, and they're not the be-all, end-all. I think your personal enjoyment of the show is a lot more important. But it's just fun to break down, especially in this demographic where they're kind of growing closer and closer and closer every single week.
Most important takeaway, though, of course, over 1.5 million people watching wrestling on Wednesdays, which is brilliant news. Now let's transition into some not so brilliant news coming from Lana, who has told comicbook.com that she has received death threats for the Rusev Bobby Lashley storyline, and they are so bad that the FBI have contacted her for protection. She's quoted as saying, "I personally have received a lot of death threats. I've gotten calls from WWE and the FBI, people actually threatening WWE. Having death threats on me, and the FBI has to call me and protect me. And I get death threats on my comments, on Instagram, on Twitter. It's absolutely appalling." And it is. There's no need for that.
It's a wrestling story. What is wrong with... It's a wrestling storyline. Like, I can't fathom what goes through the head of a person who sends a death threat over a fake soap opera storyline in a fake scripted televised universe. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
Like, I'm all for getting heat, and she's done wonderfully when it comes to that on TV. And I'm also, we've seen people like MJF bait people on social media into saying stuff to him.
Yeah.
But death threats?
Yeah, come on.
Really, we're going to stoop to that, are we?
And we had this with Bobby Lashley, recently as well. I think it was the end of October. He said he'd received a few death threats, and it's like, I'd love to see the people who are giving Bobby Lashley death threats say it to his face in real life, because that man would use you as a goddamn toothpick, you incel dope.
Cheer the heroes, boo the villains, but don't take it to this extreme.
Heat is heat. Just calm down.
Yeah.
Just relax.
Hey.
All good.
Hey, like someone said to me last night at the Christmas party, hey, calm down. Calm down. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. Kevin Dangle gives us our first question of the day, who says, what would you think of 205 Live becoming the former NXT, taking a new talent to wrestle in front of, to wrestle in front of smaller crowds and get better before moving to NXT and then the main roster?
I think they absolutely need something like that, and I think that's a very good idea. We are now at a point where developmental NXT is no longer developmental, right? It's, there are new talent coming through, and there's people like Xia Li and Raul Mendoza getting little bits and bobs here on TV and coming from the Performance Center, but it's not developmental anymore. It's being presented on a level at least comparable to the main roster. So they need this isn't my turn of phrase, I'm sorry to whoever came up with it, but they need developmental for their developmental. Now, whether they use Evolve for that, they've sent a lot of talent down there, they do every single show. But I think turning 205 Live is the perfect way to do that. I think it is. That talent pool on that show is absolutely tiny at the moment. They keep bringing people up. They replace them with the odd person here and there. It's a good idea. Put some people in there, get them seasoned, get them used to performing in front of big crowds as well, bigger crowds as well. Good idea.
I really like that idea.
Good stuff, Kev.
Hamid Hojaber, I've got that right. I do apologise, Hamid. Sends us our second question of the day, saying, do you think, well, he's directed this at Sidgwick, but I'm including it anyway.
Hey.
Saying, do you think WWE should induct Jushin Thunder Liger into the Hall of Fame? He's wrestled for all the companies and what he's done for the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't exactly, been particularly forthcoming in inducting a lot of Japanese wrestlers over the years, but Liger's... He's an absolute legend. He's one of the most pioneering junior heavyweight wrestlers of all time, one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time, regardless of nation and scene and so forth. Classic matches over multiple decades. He also wrestled for WWE at that takeover where he had a really fun little match with Tyler Breeze and stuff, so he's in that universe technically already. He's retiring in January. I think it's a great idea. I would love to see it. Yeah, do it, for sure.
Sorry, I was just thinking about that time that I think Tommaso Ciampa stuck his finger up his bum. Was that a thing? Have I misremembered that?
Yes.
It's a PWG.
If you look at the list of talent in that match, it's I think it's like a 10-man tag.
Riddle?
It's basically like all your favorite.
Go and watch it, it's great.
I'm pretty sure Solomon Crow, the Impact Wrestling World Champion, is in there. I can't wait till Tessa Blanchard kicks his ass. Can't wait till Simon Miller kicks his ass.
Indeed.
But if you go and look at that spot, man, it's like all your favorite wrestlers doing a thumb in the bum spot.
It's banter.
It's banter.
Final question today comes from Rob O'Brien, who says, how would you book the return of Ronda Rousey?
Honda Rousey. Very simple, very simple. Becky Lynch would retain her belt, in a big match on some big pay-per-view. Obviously, this is impregnation vacation dependent, but she would defend the belt at the end of the show. In the main event, Ronda Rousey would come down, we'd have a stare down, we'd book towards the big singles match that everyone wanted until big silly Nia Jax punched Becky in the face that time. Yeah.
I'd have her do it in the Rumble, to be honest. Yeah. Whether it be as a participant in the Rumble or because the fact that that match does not need any, catapulting through the use of the Rumble. Maybe post Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't know when just not post both Rumbles. I'd obviously have that main event of the show, but just have it after Becky's match at the Rumble. Have Ronda come down and keep pointing at the sign again for 20 minutes.
Oh, I remember her debut. I love Ronda Rousey, but that was something else.
And let's move on to today's and finally, and it comes from the bad boy himself, Joey Janela. You mentioned...
You've just upset half the comment section already by mentioning Joey's name.
Friend of the channel, Joey.
I love Joey Janela.
Shout out.
He's legitimately one of my favourite wrestlers.
You mentioned there about the tie between AEW and NXT, and Joey Janela immediately responded after Brian Alvarez shared those figures between AEW and NXT by saying, "It looks like there was a tie in the ratings this week, but demos say that when I appeared, quote, everyone got horny. So AEW wins again." So congratulations.
Yeah.
Let us know which wrestler makes you horny in the comment section below. That couldn't go wrong, could it?
No, oh wow, yeah, can of worms, baby.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. The post-Christmas party Wrestle Culture will be out later on today. There's some stories to tell.
There are some tales.
Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for help.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Buckfast.
Should we go and get you a bacon sandwich?
Aye.